you don't have to make a living at it to have fun with art and to be successful as an artist. I mean, maybe that's not what you want to do. You want to have fun with it and give it to the celebs and give it to kids or whatever. And that's what you want to do. So do that thing and be happy with it.
All right. It's another day, another awesome day of adventure. And oh my God, I get the Star-Lord cut. I'm really ready for this season of cons coming up. You know, the convention season is upon us. It's the 5th of May, and everybody knows what that is. Revenge of the 5th.
You mean at the 7th?
No, Revenge of the 5th. Yesterday was May the 4th. When we're recording this, today is Revenge of the 5th, and that's why I've got my lovely Star Wars coffee cup here.
Nice.
Not to mention, I finally kidnapped the child back from Moff Gideon.
I say we're big Star Wars fans, if you haven't guessed, right?
I see that.
Shirt here. I'm wearing an Imperial March.
Got my Sith shirt with Darth Vader. But
I thought about wearing my Mando helmet, but I would have been hard to hear.
It's awesome to see, though, at least for a minute.
So today we have a special guest on the Warrior Roundtable, Alan, and I met him at the last convention I was at, and he made this awesome business card, if you guys can see that, with his art displayed on it. And it was at Fan Expo Cleveland. And so we asked him kindly to be on the show to talk about himself and his art and just Star Wars and geek out, because that's what Warrior Roundtable is all about. It's finding warriors who are drawing awesome stuff like this, because I can't do this. There's no way I could do realistic portraits of anything. And finding people who are just doing it, kicking ass, doing it, doing their thing, going out there to the conventions and, talking to the cosplayers and talking to the audience and just killing it. Literally. Like, I saw you sitting there at the table and I'm like, you were one of the guys I was going to approach anyway, because I was showing Jessica in advance, like, here's my table of where's all these artists at. I like this. This guy does realistic Star Wars art. Oh my God, I got to see it in person. And I saw your table and I'm like, wow.
He had to text me and tell me about it immediately because I was homesick that day.
Well, I do enjoy Star Wars and I like drawing a lot. So ask me questions. I shall answer.
I guess, how did you manage to combine the two?
The two.
Sorry, between Star Wars and the drawing, like what began your journey into this?
Well, I've always liked to draw. I mean, I've been drawing since I was a kid. And when I finally, I don't know, probably 10 years ago, 9-10 years ago, when I finally started thinking I really want to do this professionally instead of just more as a hobby. Because at that point I was doing a lot of graphic design work. That was my main income. But I'd gone to art school and I'd always loved to draw and do, movie poster style stuff. Anyway, when I decided I really wanted to kind of start selling this and doing it for a living, Star Wars was one of the first things I wanted to do. It's one of my favorites. There's a market for it because lots of people love it. So I figured it would be an easy market to reach, I guess. And it was something I enjoyed. So it was easy to do and easy to stay enthused about it. So.
Any particular characters that you really love?
Ahsoka is at the top of my list. I've always loved Ahsoka. Leia obviously is iconic, just as a strong character. And I think we're getting with the Disney Plus content and the animated stuff. I think we're getting introduced to a lot of new great characters beyond just movies, which I think is awesome.
Absolutely. I know I'm plowing my way through. There's a Mandalorian, but I know I'm going back and I'm watching the Clone Wars right now and seeing some of the characters that have come through that they didn't really see too much of the movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really enjoy what they did in the Clone Wars with the clones themselves. I mean, in the movies, you could watch the movies and you just figure that they're all the same and basically robots. They didn't really get into them too much, but But with the animated series, you see them all as individual characters, and they all have their own personalities. And I thought that was really neat that they took the time over 7 seasons to do that.
Oh, absolutely.
Not only that, but then they created the Bad Batch, which was
Yes.
a spinoff of the Clone Wars of sorts, and that really became like they introduced this group of clones in the Clone Wars series, and then they just stopped like telling their story, and they're like, people want to know more about these guys, so they made a series of that, and then they had Star Wars Rebels came out, which is a completely different animation style,
Right.
but looking at storytelling was still there, and all those bridging of those gaps. And I'm pretty sure you heard about the news with the not so Mandalorian movie that's coming out, with Mandalorian, Boba Fett, and Ahsoka Tano storylines all going to connect in one movie, but they don't have a.
Yeah, I've heard kind of rumors about that for a while. I think it makes total sense. I mean, you've got Dave Filoni kind of as the master of this corner of the universe, and I think it'll be really neat. We've already got all this overlap, in the Mandoverse. So I think it makes sense to do like an Avengers style storyline where they come together. Yeah, it'll be exciting.
I told you, I predicted this. I said eventually Star Wars has to go back to movies. They have to have another trilogy of movies, but not trilogy per se of this one connects to this one, and then this is a continuation, but just Star Wars movies in general, because big box office hits. You're not making a lot of money with your subscriptions if people already are subscribed to Disney Plus. You're not making that adding extra people in. So you put it at the box office, which means people that are already subscribed to Disney Plus will go buy tickets. And they might buy tickets multiple times to take their friends to it. There's more money that way.
Well, it's hard to go wrong with Star Wars.
That's right. Disney will be making Star Wars stuff forever.
Yes.
So I hope it's good. I hope it's all as good as Mando has been, and Bad Batch I thought was great. I have a lot of high hopes for the Ahsoka series. It should be fun.
It has been interesting seeing how her character has been brought out and explored more.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been looking forward to seeing how else they build her up.
The thing that I'm wondering, and this is from your artist perspective, you looked at Ahsoka Tano when she was younger, right? At the Clone Wars when she first started out, and you look at this as Ahsoka. If you were the one designing Ahsoka to get older, and this is just my little clip, would you say that the Ahsoka that they came out with, the real life version of Ahsoka, is her older version, or would you say, do you kind of agree with the direction they went with her, or would you say that they could have did a different character design for her?
I mean, I'm sure there's a number of actresses that could have pulled it off. I love Rosario Dawson. I think she's amazing. I got to meet her once. She was incredible. I've always pictured her as a perfectly wonderful Ahsoka, and I'm glad to see her pulling it off. I do think we're going to get some flashbacks to the Clone Wars era in the Ahsoka series. So I think they've got a younger actress cast to portray a younger Ahsoka in live action. I think that'll be really interesting to see. But yeah, I think Rosario's killing it.
No, I mean, as an actor, she's definitely doing an excellent job.
Oh, no. She's superb. Like when I was at that one con, I wasn't even looking forward to her, and she was walking around and she was going to her booth and she just waves at me and says hi. And I'm like, oh, hello there.
Hi, Rosario Dawson.
I didn't even realize I was doing Obi-Wan until he says that line. I forgot that was his line. I was like, hello there. It's like, it was before Obi-Wan had came out. Obi-Wan was another good Star Wars series. I love that. I'm hoping they come with a season 2 because there's so much they could still do with that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So, is there like, other than the Star Wars, is there anything else that you've kind of like branched into as you've been doing this more with the drawing as your profession?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in a Star Wars tornado right now with projects and commissions, but I love Star Trek, Doctor Who. I'm not as into Marvel as I was, in phase 1 and phase 2, but I do some Marvel stuff. So I try to keep it kind of even, but I've kind of gotten locked into Star Wars the last couple of years. I try to sprinkle in, some Star Trek and some Batman and stuff every once in a while. But yeah, so I like a variety of things.
Okay.
I do apologize if I have to keep peeking because I'm watching for a bus to come for a little boy to come home. So
It's all right.
Time of day.
I understand.
nope, nothing yet. Okay. So my question, this is something I was wondering, it just came to me earlier on in the show when Jessica was asking such wonderful questions, is what was your, like, when you first started art, like what was the main focus of what were you like drawing and creating? What was your very first projects that you create that you can remember that you were proud of?
The very first one I did was in what I'll call this chapter of my career. It was Mace Windu. So so here's how it kind of started. I was doing commissions for people and just I wasn't being very proactive with my drawing career because I had graphic design. I was working at an agency at the time. So I wasn't being very proactive, but Instagram was relatively new and I was late to the game with Instagram. I had just started an account and I was following different artists and stuff. And I started following an artist named Tony Harris. He's an amazing comic book artist and just does amazing stuff. I got to meet him a couple cons ago. Anyway, so I started following him and he would do these daily kind of warm up drawings. Sometimes they'd take him a day or two, but just, somewhere between a sketch and a finished piece on colored paper. And he was just turning out this beautiful work. And that really inspired me to start just doing it. Just do some stuff, every couple of days, a small piece, and put it on Instagram and see if anybody buys it. And that's how I started. So I started 4 pieces. I think it was Mace Windu, Yoda, I don't know, a couple other Star Wars characters. I can't remember who, but so I just started doing it and putting them on Instagram. And, as people started following, people started seeing it and buying them. And I think after a couple of years of that, we had our first Comic-Con in Elkhart, Indiana, which is right close to me. It's a half hour away from me. I thought I don't have to get a hotel. It's a half an hour away from me. I may as well, sign up for an Artist Alley table and see how it goes. And I think I had 12 random prints. I mean, Jessica Jones, Star Wars, Wonder Woman, it was all over the place. Nothing was organized. The booth was terrible, but it was a good show. And it was the first one in Elkhart. So there was a lot of enthusiasm in the area. I did well. I made my money back. And I decided I really liked it. I liked doing it. So I started signing up for more. I think my next one was in Grand Rapids. That was a lot bigger show. The booth was still terrible, but I had more work to show and did well there. And my wife and I enjoyed it, enjoyed meeting the people, enjoyed the genre. So we just kept doing it.
Okay. What advice would you give someone who's just starting out as an artist with the cons?
With the cons, so well, those are kind of two different questions. Starting out as an artist is one thing, and my advice there is just start. You're never going to think you're good enough. You're never going to think you're ready for anything, but you're never going to get better if you don't just start doing it. You'll look back after 2 years and think the stuff you did 2 years ago is terrible, and because you've improved. So, and that's fine. That's what's supposed to happen. So getting started as an artist is really simple. Just start doing it. Find something you like to do and start. You'll grow, you'll change, things will progress. So you don't have to have it perfect. Kind of the same thing with cons. The difference with cons is you got to remember you've got a lot of competition at cons. There's, there's probably going to be 20 other artists there at least. So in order to be successful, and by successful, I mean, everybody judges success differently, but to make your money back, I mean, because that's what you want to start off with. You're not gonna make thousands of dollars your first show, but you want to make your money back, right? You don't want to lose money.
Yeah.
So you have to have your work at a certain level, at a competitive level. And the nice thing about cons, though, is there's so many different tastes, and people like different styles and they like different levels of quality. So you don't have to be the best, better than everybody else there, but you should be confident in your work. I think you should be confident that your work is sellable, that, that somebody would want to buy it. Because if you don't think your work's good, you're going to have a hard time convincing anybody else of that.
Well, that would definitely be me then, because I had a con moment myself, and I always share this with everybody because it's one of my most passionate moments. Was I do this wanted poster of Baby Yoda, of the child, and I always have this thing where before I go to a con, I just sit there and I draw like pictures of the characters that we want to meet and just hand it to them and say, "This is for you. Thank you for all your hard work. This is from me."
That's great. I do the same thing.
It's priceless to them. They can't put a price on that. I've seen a lot of the celebrities where they're doing their Zooms or when they're doing their YouTubes, in the background they got fan art framed, and I'm like, okay, so I'm just gonna hand Moff Gideon, the guy who plays Moff Gideon, this wanted poster of Baby Yoda. I walk up to him, and he starts role playing with me, and he's like, "What's this? I put these out there. What is this?" And I'm like, "I drew this for you." And he's like, he thought I was an artist from Artist Alley. He's like, "Okay," pulls his wallet out. He's like, "How much?" So I start role playing back. I'm like, no, I've come to claim the bounty. And he's like, goes back into character. He's like, "Bounty, where's the child?" It's in a white SUV out there, a white car. It's like I told him some random license plate. He's like, stormtroopers walking by, cosplaying. He's like, yo, get the troops together. We have location of the child. This little young man named Deku, who's supposed to be a superhero, betrayed his own people to sell out the child. And then he goes back into, he's like, "Really, man, how much you want for this?" And I'm like, "I'm just giving it to you because I love your character. I have not loved a villain in Star Wars this much since Darth Vader, and you're playing a damn good villain. This is my way of paying my respect to you." He's like, "Okay, I got a way to pay you. Pick an autograph, quick." And I'm like, it was like spur of the moment. And I'm like, I'm just stunned because I've never had anybody recognize my art like that. Like I've had some celebrities that have given them pictures that I've drawn of their anime characters. I do more anime manga style of characters. And so looking at it, I've never had anybody look at my art in such a way that they say, "That's phenomenal. You should do this. You should do more of this." And I'm like, usually it's just their impression of, "Oh, well, thank you. I'm going to put this in my book. I'm going to coat it with that clear spray so it doesn't get ruined because it's pencil drawings. And this is awesome. Thank you." But having him hand me his autograph of Moff Gideon, I walked away from Jessica and I'm like,
He was on cloud nine the rest of that con.
Yeah.
I come back home and her mom, she's like, "Why are you not doing this?"
It goes back to what you just said too, where just get started. Just don't stop. Just start.
Yeah. And, and that's one of the great things about cons, good celebrity encounters are great. And Giancarlo sounds like an amazing guy. I mean, if he gets into it that much, then I've never met him, but that's the kind of celebrity experience that you want to have. And there are actors out there and voice actors that will do that for you, that really drink the Kool-Aid and they get into being at the cons and meeting people.
He did the character all day. Like literally, he went from his Moff Gideon to the Far Cry persona from the Far Cry video game. He's like, "Have you beaten Anton yet?" And going into character, and the guy's like, "Yeah, I just killed you. You didn't kill me. You killed the devil. I'm still standing here. You can't kill me." And it's like he just really went to it. It's like I love those encounters, and that's another thing too. Is like I love like meeting artists like yourself and stuff because you guys give me confidence just by seeing you guys do it. And like I said, with enough practice, maybe I'd be able to pull off realistic looking drawings like this. But for me, it's just like I just like doing I've always done the manga style of drawing.
And see, you don't have to make a living at it to have fun with art and to be successful as an artist. I mean, maybe that's not what you want to do. You want to have fun with it and give it to the celebs and give it to kids or whatever. And that's what you want to do. So do that thing and be happy with it.
That's the other thing I love.
Perfectly fine.
I love seeing the kids because I was one of those kids growing up, and now seeing other kids getting into what we were into as kids and being out there. Like I had the crappiest Star Lord outfit that I thought when I came up to meet you that day at Cleveland. I had the crappiest Star-Lord outfit. I had the Avengers jacket. I had the face. I didn't have the hair. I had longer hair, but I had a shirt that was just grouped. Or what? No, it's the Marvel What If shirt, and I had T'Challa as Star-Lord from the What Ifs. And I was just wearing some regular black pants and Converse, and I see this little kid on the other side of the street saying, "Daddy, look, it's Star-Lord. Hi, Star-Lord." I'm like, you just made my day, kid. You just made my day right there. Just that kind of thing. It warms my heart because here I am, like putting myself down because this is a crappy costume. So now it's like this weekend I'm getting my costume shipped finally, get the legit costume. But I just did my best to throw it out there. Like, what are the things that you might be able to address especially for our audience? Some of the people that might want to be artists is one of the hurdles that I keep hearing from people, because there was a guy that did a workshop on this too at one of the cons in Chicago last year, about drawing like copyrighted stuff, like Star Wars is copyrighted by Disney stuff. How do you manage to skirt that without having Disney breathing down your throat or having like Star Trek breathing down your throat? How do you manage to do it to make it your own without necessarily?
Yeah, it's a tricky issue. I have had some trouble with Disney and with Paramount, but not legal trouble. But that what they can do is go to Etsy, because I sell on an Etsy store. They can go to Etsy and say, look, your terms of service, Etsy, prohibit intellectual property infringement, and this guy is doing our stuff, so you have to take it down. Paramount's done that with me. Couple others. Disney did it with Grogu. That's the only one they've ever had a problem with, is Grogu. That was right when The Mandalorian came out, and they didn't want anybody selling Grogu stuff except them. So and other artists experienced that too. Anybody who put anything up about Grogu got it stricken from Etsy, and other sites like that, like Redbubble and Society6 and any third-party seller like that. Disney we called it the Grogu purge, because everybody was getting their stuff removed. Selling it at cons is never going to be a problem. Nobody from Disney is walking around cons trying to bust artists. That just doesn't happen. Selling it on my own website probably won't be an issue either. I'm working on an e-commerce site, because the thing with copyright law is if you go after one person, you have to go after everybody. So in other words, everybody they find selling something that they say infringes on their copyright, they have to sue them. If they want to sue me, they got to sue everybody. Or they can't sue anybody. So the short answer is I'm not big enough for them to worry about. If I was running TV commercials and I opened a big store in South Bend that had the Star Trek logo on it, and I was selling posters and stuff, that'd be a different story. But so as long as you're selling it in person at cons, you're not gonna have a problem.
Okay.
So there you go, guys. It's not about the fear. Don't let the fear control you. Just step in. We've been interviewing several artists that's been doing like several things. Like you said, you go to a con, and it's like the one artist we interviewed recently that's on our show was talking about how you walk into a con and here's a fantasy artist over here who's drawing fantasy style. Here's a person who's drawing realistic style like yourself. Here's a person who's drawing the manga style like myself. And then here's a person who's drawing their own unique little designs of, looks like Chinese calligraphy style and the ancient Chinese scroll Star Wars art, like the samurai Darth Vader that I showed you the picture of the one day that I wanted to get, was amazing. But and that was $300. I'm like, but it was huge and it was there as their poster. I'm like, that was amazing. So you go to cons and you just get to experience all this, and I love that. So there you go, guys. Don't let fear control you. Just take that first step. Maybe, like Alan recommended, start an Instagram account if you don't have an Instagram account, and just share your art. Do that. Share your art. You can also get some help, and I don't know if you've ever done this, but get some help from a person who knows a little bit about editing or something, and they can sit there and watch you do a drawing in real time, and they speed up the process so it shows you drawing step by step. Those are huge on TikTok right now, guys. Those are huge. So just find yourself a buddy who wants to support your career, wants to support what you want to do. And if you don't want to make a career and you just want to do it for fun, find yourself a buddy. Like, I got my buddy.
And there are apps anymore now that you can use that'll do that for you, that'll do time lapse stuff. The lady who's developing my website for me is on me about, you got to do time lapse stuff because it's popular, and it is. I mean, it's good. It's good content, and I need to do better about it. It's just the setup time. It slows me down.
I've watched it, and it's like I'm fascinated by that. I can barely draw a stick person. To see someone bring this image to life.
It's not just images.
It's absolutely amazing.
It's not just images. Nikki, who popped in as our friend, she introduced me on Facebook a couple years ago to the real life, like just art in general, where they're building projects and they're making all these beautiful spray painted designs and stuff. And it amazes me how they do this. And now you've got the new world, and I want to get your opinions on this. You get the new world of AI art. Like, what's your thoughts on the whole AI art, where AI, artificial intelligences, are creating help or actually co-collaborating with real people, where they do like a basic sketch and then AI takes it from there and flushes it out and makes it prettier and better? What's your thoughts on the new artificial intelligence technique, as they call it?
I'm probably not super qualified to talk about it. I honestly haven't looked into it that much. I know there's a lot of people who really don't like it. There are parts of my technique that people wouldn't like. Photoshop came out and people thought Photoshop was cheating, So I guess I don't know. I think as long as you're using things as tools, there's an argument for it. When you're just turning it over to something else and say, here, do this for me. I have a hard time with that personally. And especially when you're using other people's work without their permission to fill in those gaps. I mean, because the AI has to be based on something. So they're feeding artwork into it, and it's taking, pieces and parts of all this different artwork, and those artists aren't getting compensated for that.
I agree with that. I 100% agree with that. That's why I wanted to see your thoughts on it, because I haven't done a bunch of research into it myself, but I decided to test out one of the AI art generators, and it generated like this huge masterpiece. And I'm like, people are selling these on Etsy and selling them, and people are finding out because they can tell, because wait a second, that character design of that person looks almost too perfect. Wait a second, I saw that somewhere in a different artist style. And yeah, that's one of the controversies that's going on, believe it or not, is that they're catching on to it. They're taking all this database of other people's art and stuff, and they're not compensating for it. They're just ripping it together into one giant masterpiece of, oh, it looks like a Van Gogh, but it's not really a Van Gogh. They copied Van Gogh's style, but they also copied some of Da Vinci's style, and they threw it together. It looks great. It looks appealing to the eye, but it's not giving any of the artists credit. So what's your thoughts on it?
No, I mean, when you go to that much effort to create something, then as far as I'm concerned, it's robbery to steal the idea, steal the image. You need to give credit where credit is due. And if someone was an inspiration, like if you use them from inspiration, give them a shout out at the very least.
Right.
I mean, if you're selling stuff, you need to be honest.
Right. And if somebody wants to decorate their homes with that stuff, and they download an app and they can generate art and print it out and hang it in their house, that's one thing. But to go to a con and sell poster prints of things that you really didn't have anything to do with creating yourself, and then to call yourself an artist, I think that's a stretch. But even then, somebody downloads an app, they print out stuff to hang in their house. That app is making money, right? So what about the artists that got fed into this app to generate stuff? Are those artists making money for having their work used? Probably not. And I think that's wrong.
Yeah.
That's my thoughts too. That's why I wanted to address this, because a lot of people out there, they think it's great. If you're using it as a tool, cool, but don't just let it do all the work for you. Like, if you need some ideas for like basic landscapes, have it generate a basic landscape for you, and then you can take that, you can take bits and pieces and draw it yourself. Basically, because that's how I've always done art is at first I was just taking people's, like, since I said manga style, I take like a page of the manga, one of the blocks of the manga, or like a comic book, and I'd take the character and I'd copy it, but it would be in my style. And I'd be like, okay, there's my drawing. I'm happy with that. But then I realized, like, after talking to artists like yourself, that if you're going to be an artist or you just want to do it, try to get the positioning right and change the positions, change the movements, change however, so that you can change it so that it's not the exact same copy of what they're doing. It's your own unique thing. And then you put them in different pose, put them in different clothes, and boom,
And there's a difference. I mean, copying other artists' work as a tool for training or practice, that goes back centuries. I mean, people were copying their master's work to learn how to do it. I mean, forever. That's been going on forever. So there's a difference between using it as a learning tool and then saying, here, this is my work, and trying to sell it or claiming it as your own for some other purpose. I think those are two totally different things. I did the same thing when I was a kid. I had comic books. I would look at a panel that I liked and draw it to try to figure out how to do it.
I think
that's fun.
Sorry, I think that's how a lot of artists start, where you do idolize and you draw your idol's work because you like the work. But that's also how you begin to learn your own techniques, and create your own style as you're going through and doing things. As I said, they are two different things.
Yep. Yeah, it's two different things. Now, this is coming from somebody. I use photo reference a lot. I mean, I rely on photo reference a lot. Now, when I'm drawing Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker, I don't really feel the need to credit Mark Hamill, on the piece. Everybody knows it's Mark Hamill. Everybody knows it's Luke Skywalker. Now, when I use a model or a cosplayer for a piece, that's a little different. I try to I always ask permission first before I use them or work with them. And depending on the situation and the details I work out with them, they may get a printed credit, on the piece, certainly on Instagram posts, because that's their art. The cosplay is their art, so they deserve some credit for that too.
I just jumped back in because we had noise like a garbage dump was getting dropped off because it's spring cleaning here. So if that did any sounds or anything, cut any sounds, I apologize. But I heard what was going on. I'm like, yeah, I was thinking about that as I was coming up the stairs. It's like, yeah, cosplayers are really good ideas for art pieces. And how many like great photos have we seen of us? And then they edit it up and they touch it up and then they tag us in it. Like, and that's something I want to get into because I want to get into the pro cosplay field because we have a friend who cosplays as the Black Panther, and his whole Instagram is him and the Black Panther. And so we had him on the show quite a few times already and just talking to him. And I want to get into that realm because it gets me and gets us more connections with more people, more artists and things, that editors and things like that. So I can actually have, like, when I do my Star-Lord and having the guns out, you can have somebody like designing the art of the background and changing it like comic book style. It's like, I want to see that because I want to be able to have that because I want to claim it like as me. I am, in a sense, my own version of Star-Lord and Star Deku Lord, whatever you want to, when we combine those two eventually.
Once he finally figures that one out. I will say I am glad that you point out the fact that you asked for permission. Because when I have these cons, you got these cosplayers out there. Just quick reminder to anyone who goes to a Comic-Con, get permission before taking photographs. You will see some amazing cosplay, but make sure they're okay first.
Yeah,
they're okay with being
one of the number one things in this whole entire industry is consent. And this is for all you younger generation out there too. If you're still in high school, you're still in college, and you don't know, and you're just entering in the cosplay world, the photograph world, the art world, whatever world you're entering in, just the entire convention world. You're entering into your first convention arena. You've never been to one and you want to do something, always get consent first. Always ask for permission first. Because we've had that happen. Like when we first started cosplaying, we realized, one person came and took our picture, and my son was with me, and all of a sudden my son, who's autistic, starts flipping out because the camera snapped like it was one of those giant flashes, and it set him off. And it's like, please be considerate, and always approach. And that's why after that, it's like people kept coming up to us and saying, hey, can we take your picture? Do you mind if we take your picture? Only if you tag us on Instagram. We pull out a business card, like, here's our business card. Make sure to tag us on Instagram. We want to share this. Because you guys have awesome.
Yeah, and that's fair. And it's just, I agree. It's just polite. I mean, nobody likes having a bad picture taken of them. So, you don't want people taking pictures without and you want to be able to do your pose and look decent. You don't want to show up on Instagram like an idiot. So it's just polite.
Yeah. Otherwise, did you have any other questions? You had to keep going.
No, I want to. Yeah, as I said, I want to see some of this art. You said you had some stuff to share. I want to see some of this new stuff. That's what I'm excited about.
So here, what I brought to show you is I mentioned when I started out my first couple of shows, I just had random prints and stuff. And so one of the progressions that I made that I actually think is one of my best ideas is I still do standalone prints, usually posters, a larger size, but I also do packaged sets of prints. So what I'll try to do is look for commissions where I can work that in. Like just recently, somebody wanted me to do the character Rio Chuchi. She was one of the senators in Clone War, and she showed up in the Bad Batch. And she wanted, through both of those series, she wears 3 different outfits, and they wanted me to draw her in those 3 different outfits. And I thought that would make a great print set. So that encouraged me to take the commission, because now not only am I selling the original art, but I can turn it into a print set to sell. So what I do, I kind of design this easy way to do it. So this is the Rio Chuchi print set I'll have at my table. So what it is it's the 3 different pieces, and then I design a belly band that wraps around it. So it packages them all together, and that's the product that you buy. So the belly band comes off, and then you've got three pieces. So besides my posters, and I do have some smaller prints too that I'm starting to phase back in, but the print sets are my favorite thing to do. So I've got the Ahsoka Tano collection. This is 10 pieces. So it's all the different outfits that she wore in Clone Wars and Rebels. I'm doing an ongoing series of clone troopers. So these are all four pieces. I've got the names of the 4 troopers that are in there. So this is phase 1. I just finished phase 2. Phase 3 is going to be the Bad Batch. So this is something I can continue to add to. And for fans of the clones, as I do these new clones, there's going to be people out there who want to buy the originals. Then I've got a nice print set to sell forever, at cons. So I really like doing these. They give me a chance to do ongoing projects and keep adding to them. Just a portrait series. So this is 6 pieces in the back. So I've got Ahsoka in there, Hera, Shakti, Fennec Shan. So this is 6 pieces, and I just started the second set too. I'll have six different characters in that. So just again, it's a nice way. I can do commissions for people. I can get them original art that they like, but then I can package them into a nice product that can be sold again and again. So it's income for me. I get to share it with a lot of people. It's just a good product.
I personally love that idea, especially the quotes. When you have just the individual one set of the 3 cards, and you have the quote on the back, one of their top quotes, like, boom, that's definitely a keeper. Because then you could, if you want to frame it, guys, you can always take the belly band apart, cut it in half, put the front piece at the top, frame it and then put the quote at the bottom, or however you want to do it. I could think of a million ways to frame those. That would be amazing, like matted and everything.
Yeah, and I mentioned I get into other stuff besides Star Wars. This is one of my more popular ones. This is the Wisdom of Swanson collection. So this one, same thing. It's got a belly band on it. It's 3 pieces. So you had me at Meet Tornado. Swanson is very popular.
Parks and Recreations is very popular still. And The Office is popular now again. Apparently, The Office is starting to take off. Friends and The Office are 2 of the top shows that I'm seeing a lot of artists are saying, hey, people are requesting more of The Office and Friends again. It's like, wow, it's amazing.
I have people asking me about The Office again, so I may have to do an Office set. We'll see.
Well, there's an Office Con coming up. They actually announced that they're doing an Office reunion con, but it's not going to have. And to me, a con is not the same. If you're going to announce a themed con that's themed around The Office, if you don't have Michael Scott there, what's the point of having the Office Con? You're not having the main guy there, and it's like he's not there. I'm like, okay, well,
he's not going to come. He's a nice guy, but I don't think he's going to come.
No, most of the bigger celebrities that people are wondering, because I keep getting this question a lot from people I meet at cons, like, do you know when they're going to have the bigger name celebrities? Because I just talked to a convention the other day about one of our workshops that we do at conventions, and they told us, like, yeah, getting the bigger names, we can get them, and it's affordable for us to get them, but then their schedules get in the way. And most of the celebrities we want to get only work the Western Seaboard, like they're working the big San Diego Comic-Con, they're working the other Comic Cons that are out there, and they're staying out there because that's where they live. And I'm like, and that's where they shoot their projects. I'm like, it makes sense.
It's hard to argue with that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Rosario was in Columbus, and she's maybe not as big as you get, but she was pretty big. I mean, she had a huge line, and I was really happy she was able to fit that into her schedule. Jodie Whittaker was there for a day. I mean, 13th Doctor. That was huge. So I love it when they can fit it in. But yeah, you're right. Sometimes their schedules get in the way and they have to cancel. For a while, Jason Momoa was canceling like every show he got scheduled at. He'd be scheduled at a show, and then you'd find out the day before the show he had to cancel. That happened at a couple of shows I was at. So yeah, it's kind of a mixed bag. The big names bring people there. But it doesn't always work out.
I know the next con that we're scheduled to go to is Motor City Comic Con. I don't know if you have ever done Motor City Comic Con or not.
I haven't, and I keep meaning to try to get in there. Maybe next year I'll try to get in next year for sure.
Yeah, it's really good because that was my first experience with their conventions up there. With I think it was the first convention I took Jessica and I went to, wasn't it? Or was it?
No.
Okay.
No, it's actually in my old hometown of Novi. The Suburban Show Place where I hold it is really quite good. And it's usually a good sized Comic-Con.
And it's super organized.
Yeah.
You won't have cramped spaces. Like if you're needing an artist table, you're not going to have a cramped space where you get like a slim alley of sorts. You're going to have like a wide thing. So there's enough to fit like 4 rows of people in there, like 4 rows of traffic coming this way and that way. There's enough room. And then the celebrities are like all at the beginning. When you first walk in, they're all like right at the front of the con. So people don't have to walk to the back to go there. But the back is where all the cosplayers are and everything. But I liked it because it was my first experience. That's why I actually had the experience with Moff Gideon, the Moff Gideon actor, and got to talk to other people because, you know, if you're going to a con, guys, and you don't have the money for an autograph, you can always still stand in line and just walk up and thank them for their work and talk to them, because a lot of the cons are allowing that now, and they're allowing, oh, you're just here to say hello? Okay, cool. You know, just brief conversation, get your moment, you know, have your moment and then go and explore. That's what I love about cons. I know we're going to Motor City, and then we have, there's another convention coming up in Columbus, Ohio, if you're looking to sell some of the Clone Wars stuff. It's a new convention by GalaxyCon. It's called Animate that they're putting on. It's all anime style, everything. So it's like anime, cartoons, whatever you would classify because I don't want to get in a debate of classifying the Clone Wars as either an anime or a cartoon, but having that there as well, and they're still putting the pieces together for that. But that's the first time they're going to be doing that, and it's going to be in Columbus, Ohio. We're going to that one. And then we're definitely going to check out Gen Con up in Indy.
Yeah, my first anime con I'll be doing this year, Kogan Con. I think it's in July. It's a 1-day con in Grand Haven, Michigan. I just signed up for that, so I'll be interested to see how it does. I don't have a lot of anime stuff. I mean, it's not really my thing, but yeah, I'll be interested to see how it does. I'll be cosplaying as Luigi. So
Hey, can't go wrong with Luigi.
The Mario movie was amazing.
Yes.
Did
Did you get an opportunity to see it?
I'm sorry,
The Super Mario movie. Did you see it yet?
I haven't seen it yet. No.
It's well worth going and seeing.
I was skeptical because the trailers made it look bad. I was really worried it was going to be bad. And then I'm like, you know what? My son is wanting to see this. Let's go take him just to get him out of the house, because we can't take him to see Dungeons and Dragons. He can't sit through that long of a movie. Although he sat through Rogue One with me, and that was really good. So we went and saw it, and it was amazing. And then the Dungeons and Dragons movie was even great. So it's like, I'm just looking forward to this Guardians of the Galaxy movie, because Star-Lord, it's one of the very few Marvel movies I'm hyped about, because lately Marvel hasn't hyped me up. I'm like with you. It's like phase 1 and phase 2. And then after when phase 3 rolled out, I'm like,
It
started just dying out. But if we hang on, there's a rumor in 10 years we might finally have the DC versus Marvel movie, because James Gunn says he's got friends on both sides of the coin, and the Disney studio he's still good with the Disney studio, and he said he knows how to pull some strings, so we might be able to have that crossover of worlds in the future. I'm like, that happens 10 years now, I'm all for it.
How about DC just figures out how to make a good superhero movie first, and then we can worry about crossing it over.
You'll have practice by the time we get there.
The new Flash movie might be good though, because Michael Keaton is Batman, and Batman, that is the top Batman for me. I will always say Michael Keaton's Batman. When he says I am Batman, or when he does the Beetlejuice thing, Michael Keaton is really great. I love Michael Keaton. He's amazing. But
Well, guys, I got to run here pretty quick. I've got another client call got to get on. But it was amazing talking to you. I love talking about art, and I love talking about Star Wars.
Thank you very much for joining us.
to wrap this up, when's the next con that you're going to be at, so people can find you if they're planning on going to one?
My con lineup is, I believe my next one is Capital City Comic-Con in Lansing, Michigan. I'm going to have trouble getting these in order, so I don't know if the order is correct, but I'll be doing City. I'll be doing Really Cool Comic-Con in Flint, Michigan, Kogan Con in Grand Haven, Michigan. I've got Grand Rapids Comic-Con later in the year. I think that's in November. I'll be doing the Cleveland Gaming Classic. I think that's in September. Don't quote me on that. They're all on my calendar. I put them on my calendar so I don't have to remember. I think that's it for this year.
Okay.
I may be able to get into something else towards the end of the year, but it's probably too late to get into stuff for the summer.
Well, if you want to try to shoot for one more, GalaxyCon in Columbus as well. December.
That is one I wanted to sign up for. We did great in Columbus, and we had a lot of fun. I need to try to get into that again this year too.
It was the first time doing that con. It was amazing. So where can people find you at? If they want to find your art, where's your socials? What's your new website? Spill the deets.
Yep. My Instagram page is Portraits by Alan, ALAN. My Etsy store is the same thing, etsy.com/shop/portraits by Alan. You can message me through Instagram. I'm always happy to talk about art, answer questions about product, anything you want. That's about it so far. I'm working on my a full e-commerce website for myself, but that's not up yet. So Etsy and Instagram are the best places to get me.
Okay.
Well, it was nice having you on the show. It was great talking to you, and looking forward to hopefully seeing you at GalaxyCon. And now that I know there's other conventions in Michigan,
I could have told you.
Not too far away.
We're up there a lot.
Yeah. It's right next door.
Exactly.
I'm just looking forward to going to Gen Con in Indianapolis, Indiana, because I'm a Colts fan. It's like I've never been to Indianapolis. We went through it. I'm like, can we stop there?
No, not that time.
I don't know where they hold Gen Con, but when we went to, we did Indiana Comic Con one year, and the area right around the convention center was really nice. We stayed at a hotel right across the street, and there's lots of restaurants and stuff around. It was a nice area.
According to what they said, they're planning on holding it at the stadium, part of it at the stadium, or part of it at a center that's close to the stadium. I'm like, oh, that's going to be interesting. I'm wanting to go in that stadium for years and finally get to.
We'll see how it goes.
All right, well, I don't have anything else to say. We can wrap this up.
So thank you so much, Alan, for joining us. As I said,
My
can't wait
pleasure.
to get one of the cons.
Yeah, definitely. And I try to be real good about posting my schedule on Instagram. So follow me on Instagram, and I won't keep it a secret.
Good.
And if anybody wants any Princess Leia photos, like I said, we got on his business card, reach out to Alan, because she just got her Walk of Fame, and people are going crazy over Princess Leia merchandise right now. So it's a perfect opportunity, guys. Just reach out to Alan.
Yeah, I think I've got a couple layup pieces on my site. So
There you are. All right.
all right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Yep.